All right, so I invite everyone to find whatever rest looks like for them. Again, last week we showed modified Shavasana. Sometimes that feels really nice, especially if you've been sitting all day and your hamstrings are not stretched out yet. If you have any low back pain or anything like that, it's called modified Shavasana or hammocks pose, either one. So finding whatever feels comfortable for you. Again, you can wiggle out anything you need to. And we're going to welcome ourselves in with a breath. So taking a nice big inhale through the nose, filling up all the spaces of your body. And exhale, sigh it all out, letting it go. One more time, a nice big inhale through the nose, filling up all the spaces in your body. And exhale, sighing it all out, letting everything go. And just coming back to your breath, which is your anchor. And perhaps starting to notice what we're arriving on the mat this evening with. What stories are we telling ourselves? With no need for judgment, just observing and noticing. And maybe looking at our mat like an island and knowing that we are in control of what we do and do not allow to arrive onto our mats. Maybe letting everything that doesn't serve you go for the next hour. And starting to relax our bodies now. Relaxing the muscles on your face. Perhaps unclenching your jaw and releasing your tongue from the roof of your mouth. And letting your head become really heavy on the mat beneath you. Maybe on our next exhalation, we roll our shoulders down just a little bit more, releasing any tension. Letting our arms soften. Maybe unclenching our fingers and letting our hands just fall open. Letting our chest become heavy. Perhaps noticing when we breathe, our chest roots further into the ground. Letting our belly be soft. And releasing any tension in our hips and our pelvis. Feeling our legs on the mat. Maybe take a nice inhalation here. And as we exhale, releasing all the stress in our legs all the way down to our toes. And just noticing how heavy we feel on our mats right now. And maybe taking a step outside of our bodies and looking at ourselves. Maybe feeling like we're laying in the sand. What parts of your body feel supported by the ground beneath you? And where do you feel space? And can you release any tension into the spaces so that you feel a little bit more relaxed? And coming back to your breath. And feeling your breath just like the waves of an ocean, moving in and out, in and out. And just remaining here for a few more moments. And maybe we welcome ourselves back with a breath. And when you're ready, knowing that you don't have to move at all, we can start to slowly wake ourselves up by finding some gentle movements. Perhaps we wiggle our fingers and our toes. Maybe we even rock our head from side to side if that feels okay. We can expand our movements, rolling out our wrists and our ankles. And then in our next breath, reaching our legs out long, arms up overhead, that nice big reach stretch here, breathing in, creating a little bit of tension. And exhale, just releasing heavy onto the mat beneath you. Beautiful. One more time, inhaling, reaching nice and long here. And then exhale, releasing into the mat. And then hugging one knee and then the other towards our chest, pulling into the back of the thighs, the tops of the shins. You can find movement. We can rock side to side. You can find some stillness. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to release our left foot to the mat. We're going to reach our right leg up high to the sky. Our leg can be bent. It doesn't have to be straight. If it's available, we're going to interlace our fingers on the back of our thigh. We can also just place our hands on the sides of our thigh here. And we're going to flex and point that right foot. Feeling that stretch on the front of the leg and the back. And then we're going to circle out that ankle in one direction. And then the other. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to release that right foot to the mat, reaching the left leg up this time. Again, we can interlace our fingers on the back of the thigh. And we're going to flex and point on this side. Beautiful, circling that out in one direction. And then the other, if that feels okay. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to release our left foot to the mat and we're going to find our bridge pose. So walking our feet in as close as is comfortable to the back of the buttocks, really rooting into the shoulders, upper arms, and all four corners of our feet here. Hips and knees are in alignment. We're going to take a nice inhalation. And then as we exhale, I really want you to squeeze your glutes as you lift your hips up to the sky. And knowing that you don't have to go very far, just go to where you feel comfortable. Really opening up the front side body here. We're going to hold this for a few breaths. Making sure you don't feel this in your low back. If you do, I invite you to come out of the bridge. Maybe find just a baby bridge tonight. Holding for a couple more breaths. Perhaps noticing your belly rise and fall as you inhale and exhale. One more breath in. And then as we exhale, slowly rolling down one vertebrae at a time. And we're going to windshield washer that out. So bringing our feet to the edges of the mat, just windshield washering from side to side. Really starting to marry our breath and our movement together here. So moving with your breath at your perfect pace. Beautiful. We're going to come back to center. We're going to reach our right or our left arm over our head, rolling over onto our right or our left side body, using our bicep as a pillow here. Taking a beautiful breath, perhaps setting our intention for our practice. And then on our next breath, we're going to press through our palm and we're going to make our way up into our tabletop. Again, in tabletop here, fingertips spread nice and wide. Wrists are underneath our shoulders. Knees are underneath our hips here. Spine is nice and tall. You can have your toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels comfortable for you. Crown of the head reaching forward. And then as we exhale, tailbone lifts, belly lowers, heart shining forward into our cow pose. Exhale, really rounding into our cat. Beautiful. Inhaling into our cow. And exhaling cat. We're going to do this 2 more times and then we're going to add on. And then when we're ready, we're going to inhale into our cow pose. And then as we exhale, we're going to round up into cat. We're going to press through our palms, sitting our hips back on our heels, finding a really active child's pose here. Beautiful. We're going to inhale forward to our tabletop, lower into cow. And then exhale, rounding and pressing through our palms, sitting our hips back on our heels. Beautiful. Flowing through this 2 more times at your perfect pace. Also knowing if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, you can stay in just a cat and cow pose. Remembering that I am just a guide and this is your journey. Beautiful. Finding our last active cow, our child's pose here. Inhaling back to our tabletop, bringing our knees to the edges of the mat, sitting back on our heels, walking our hands forward, finding a nice child's pose here, really letting your heart and your forehead melt to the mat. Letting our arms become heavy. Really breathing into the back body here. Feeling almost like your rib cage is like an accordion. Really filling it in all directions. Maybe even noticing your belly rise and fall into your thighs. Letting your hips become really heavy here. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to look forward. We're going to press into our palms and make our way back into our tabletop. Beautiful. On our next exhalation, we're going to reach our right foot to the back of the mat, knowing the toes can stay on the mat, or we can lift that right leg off the mat, toes gently flex towards our face. Holding for a breath or two, spine is nice and tall, we're not rounding in. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring our knee towards our chest, finding that cat back stretch almost here, really pressing through our palms. Exhaling that right leg back out straight. Inhale, rounding in knee to chest. Exhaling back out. One more time here, rounding in, really rounding in. Hold it for a breath. And then as we exhale, reaching that right foot in between our hands. Beautiful. Rising up, finding our kneeling lunge here to start. You can walk that foot out if you'd like. You can keep your left toes tucked if that feels better for you. Beautiful. We're going to interlace our index finger and our thumb around our left wrist here. We're going to reach our arms up nice and long, really creating length in our spine. And then as we exhale, we're going to tilt over to the right, really opening up the left side body here. Beautiful. Exhaling back to center, letting our hands go, arms rising up. And then as we exhale, twisting open to the right. Arms forward and back if that's available, or they can be at heart center. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're just going to tilt forward, bringing our left fingertips to the mat, right arm extending, or on our low back. Still twisting to the right. Beautiful. We're going to rise up back into that twist. Right hand falls down, left arm extending up, still twisting. Beautiful. We're going to cartwheel our arms, framing that front foot, walking our hands back, straightening that right leg, right toes flex towards the face. And if it's available, we're going to bring our forehead down towards our knee. Feeling this runner stretch here. Beautiful. Rising up out of that, bending that right knee, walking our hands forward, planting our hands, bringing our right knee to meet the left, finding our tabletop. We can move around here, rocking our hips side to side before we find that on the other side. Beautiful. Making our way into neutral tabletop here. On our exhalation, left toes extend to the back of the mat. We can keep them there, or lifting that left leg off the mat, toes gently flexed. Really pressing through our palms here. And then as we exhale, rounding and bringing that knee towards our chest. Beautiful. Exhale, extending, rounding in. One more time here. Rounding and holding that knee towards our chest. And then bringing that left foot between our hands this time. Beautiful. Rising up. Finding that kneeling lunge on this side. Beautiful. Wrapping our index and our thumb around our left wrist this time. Reaching up nice and long. Really creating some length. And then exhale, bending to the left. Beautiful. Inhaling back to center, letting that go, arms extending. And then as we exhale, twisting open to the left. Beautiful. We're going to bend forward, bringing those right fingertips to the mat, left arm extending or on our low back. Beautiful. Woo. Making our way up to that twisting kneeling lunge, left arm down, right arm really extending, reaching through those right fingertips. Beautiful. Cartwheeling our arms, framing that front foot, walking our hands back, straightening that left leg, left toes towards the face. And if it feels comfortable, rounding in. Beautiful. Rising up out of that, walking our hands forward, bending that left knee, placing that left foot on the mat, and left knee meets the right. Again, you can find a little bit of movement here. And we're going to find our neutral tabletop, fingertips spread nice and wide. We're going to tuck our toes, lifting our hips up and back, finding our downward facing dog. Again, bending our knees as much as we need to here. Spine is really tall. Reaching our sits bones to the sky. We can pedal this out. We can rock our hips from side to side, whatever feels good here. Beautiful. And then we're going to hold this for a few breaths. And then on our next breath, we're going to bend our knees, walking our feet to the top of the mat, finding that forward fold. Really rooting our torso onto the tops of our thighs here, letting everything go. We're going to inhale, find our halfway lift, hands on shins or thighs. Exhale, bending our knees, forward fold. We're going to root down into our feet as we rise up, gathering in all that energy. And exhaling down to heart center. Beautiful. Finding a sun breath here. We're going to inhale all the way up, nice and slow. And exhaling down to our heart center. Beautiful. Finding our mountain pose for a breath or two. We can roll our shoulders back and down, palms facing open. Again, we can rock forward and back here, really finding our center. And then just finding this strong mountain pose for a breath. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to inhale our arms up to the sky, and we're going to find that lateral reach in our mountain pose as well. So we're going to interlace our index finger and our thumb around our right wrist. We're really going to inhale, reach long, and as we exhale, tilting open to the left. Perhaps we look up to the right bicep if that feels comfortable. But knowing that we don't have to, really stretching out the right side body here. Beautiful. We're going to exhale back to center, releasing that, interlacing our index and thumb around our left wrist this time. Inhale, creating length, and as we exhale, tilting open to the right. Again, we can look up at our left bicep. Really rooting into our left heel here. We're going to inhale back through center and bringing our hands down to our heart center. Beautiful. We're going to inhale all the way up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. We're going to plant our hands, reach our right foot to the back of the mat. We're going to find our runner's lunge if that's available. If you need to, you can lower that left knee as well. You can heel toe out that right foot to wherever is comfortable. We're just light on our fingertips here, lowering our hips towards the mat. Heart shining forward, really opening up our hip flexor. Beautiful. We're going to lower that left knee to the mat, untuck our toes, and we're going to find our kneeling lunge again here. And then as we exhale, we're going to hinge forward, finding our airplane arms. So shoulders really squeezing together, palms facing the ground, really pressing our pinky fingers towards the midline here. Inhaling up. Exhale, hinging forward, finding those airplane arms. Beautiful. One more time here, hinging. Finding those airplane arms, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Beautiful. We're going to rise back up to our kneeling lunge, and then we're going to plant our hands either side of our foot. If it's available, we're going to tuck our left toes, and we're going to bring our right foot back to meet our left, finding plank or kneeling plank, knowing that you can lower your knees at any time. Shoulders over wrists, fingertips spread nice and wide. We are one long line of energy from the crown of our head to our heels. Holding here for a few breaths in plank or kneeling plank. Belly button into spine, really protracting our shoulders here, pulling our shoulders away from our spine. One more breath. And then as we exhale, hinging our hips up and back, finding that downward facing dog. Beautiful. Knowing we can also find tabletop or child's pose. On our next breath, inhaling our left leg to the sky this time. Really rounding it as we bring that knee towards our chest and that foot between our hands. Finding runner's lunge on this side. So light on our fingertips here, lowering our hips as much as we can. We can also lower that right knee. Heart shining forward here. Beautiful. We're going to lower that right knee to the mat. You can untuck your toes, rising up to kneeling lunge. Beautiful. We're going to hinge forward, finding our airplane arms on this side, squeezing those shoulder blades together, palms facing down. Exhaling up. Beautiful. Inhaling, hinging forward. Exhaling up. One more time, hinging forward here. And then exhaling our arms up to the sky. Beautiful. We're going to plant our hands on either side of that left foot. We can tuck our right toes. Left foot meets right. Finding kneeling plank or plank for a few breaths here. Shoulders over our wrists. And then as we exhale, hinging our hips up and back, finding that downward facing dog. Beautiful. We're going to bend our knees and we're going to walk our feet to the top of the mat, finding that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. Beautiful. Finding mountain here just for a breath or two. You can grab a sip of water if you need to. Beautiful. We're going to inhale our arms up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching our left foot to the back of the mat. You can lower that knee if you like, or we can rise up to high crescent lunge, or we can find warrior one. Beautiful. We're going to hinge forward, finding our airplane arms in this position as well. Palms facing down, really squeezing those shoulder blades together, creating that one long line of energy here. Inhaling up. Exhale, hinging forward here. Reaching up. One more time, hinging forward, squeezing those shoulder blades together. And then rising up. Beautiful. We're going to plant our hands, right foot meets left, downward facing dog, or child's pose, or tabletop. We're going to inhale forward like a wave to plank or kneeling plank. We're going to lower halfway or all the way down to the mat. We're going to find upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or tabletop or child's pose. Inhaling our right leg to the sky, really rounding our spine as we bring that knee towards the chest, our foot in between our hands. Rising up, lunge or kneeling lunge. Exhale, folding forward, bending that left knee, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. Exhaling, mountain. Beautiful, inhaling up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, reaching our other foot to the back of the mat this time. You can lower your knee or rise up, high crescent lunge. Beautiful, we're gonna hinge forward, finding those airplane arms on this side, squeezing those shoulder blades together, palms facing down. Exhaling up. Inhale, hinging forward. Exhaling up. One more time, hinging forward. Exhale, rising up. Hinging at our hips, planting our hands. Left foot meets right, downward facing dog or child's pose. We're gonna inhale, flow forward like a wave to plank or kneeling plank, lowering halfway or all the way down to the mat, finding upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Beautiful, inhaling our left leg to the sky, rounding and bringing that foot between our hands. Rising up, high crescent lunge or kneeling lunge. Exhale, hinging at our hips, planting those hands, bending that right knee, right foot meets left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And exhaling, down to mountain. Again, finding mountain for a breath here. Beautiful. If it's available, we're gonna bring our big toes to touch, heels a sliver apart, but know that your feet can stay further apart than that. We're gonna inhale our arms up to the sky. And then as we exhale, bring them down through heart center, letting our hips drop into that imaginary chair. Words went out of my brain there for a few moments. We're gonna find all four corners of our feet here. So we're gonna lift all of our toes off the mat for a breath or two if it's available to you. And then we're gonna lower them down, really rooting more into our heels and the ball mounds of our feet here. Belly button into spine, toes in front of our knees. Holding chair for a couple of breaths here, really pressing through our palms. Perhaps noticing the sensations in our body here. And maybe acknowledging that sometimes when things get more difficult in our body, we start to talk to ourselves or we lose our breath. And know that that's okay. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're gonna fold forward, finding that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. exhale, fold. We're gonna plant our hands and we're gonna step back into downward facing dog or tabletop. Beautiful. We're gonna inhale our right leg to the sky and we're gonna bring our right foot in between our hands. We're gonna pivot that left foot on a 90-degree angle, rising up into our warrior two. And just finding our warrior two here. Perhaps we lower our shoulders, wiggle that out. Noticing our shoulders are over our hips here. Knee is over our ankle. And perhaps looking at our left foot. You can have it on a 90-degree angle, or if it's more comfortable for you, you can pivot that foot in on a 45-degree angle or less. Maybe noticing how that feels in your hip or in your low back, knowing that neither position is wrong. Beautiful. We're going to inhale our right palm up, little reach forward, exalting our warrior here. Still lunging into that front knee. Exhaling back, warrior two. We're going to bring this right forearm onto the top of the thigh, circling this right arm around, finding supported side angle. If it's available, we're going to reach that right palm or the left palm towards the mat, reaching long through our left fingertips, bicep by our ear. Extending that right arm, but not sinking down to the mat. Really noticing we're just one long line from our fingertips all the way down to their heel. Beautiful. Keeping lunging into that right leg, we're gonna exhale back up, finding that exalted warrior. Flowing through this a couple times at your own breath, really reaching long through those left fingertips. Exhaling back up, exalting our warrior. One more time. Inhaling forward. And then exhaling back up. Exalting our warrior here. Beautiful. Well, we're still exalting. We're going to straighten that right leg and we're going to tip forward, finding our triangle pose. Beautiful. Keeping our legs straight. We're going to exalt our triangle here. Making our way back to warrior two. We're going to cartwheel our arms, pivoting that left foot, planting our hands, right foot meets left, finding plank or kneeling plank. We're going to roll onto our right wrist, finding side plank, or we can lower that right knee, finding supported side plank. Feet are staggered, right wrist underneath our right shoulder, really hinging or hiking our hips up to the sky here. Beautiful. We're going to circle this left arm around, finding plank or kneeling plank. We're going to lower halfway or all the way down to the mat. Upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Beautiful. Exhaling our left leg to the sky this time, really rounding and bringing that foot between our hands. Pivoting that right foot on a 90-degree angle or less this time. Rising up. Warrior two on the side. Really strong foundation here. Left palm reaches up a little, reach forward, exalting our warrior. Beautiful. Making our way back to warrior two. Bending that left arm on the top of our thighs, circling this right arm around, opening up here. If it's available, right palm reaches towards the ground, really reaching those right fingertips along bicep by our ear. Left arm can extend as well. Beautiful. We're going to exhale up to our exalted warrior. Inhaling up, finding that extended side angle to our exalted warrior. Beautiful. One more time here. Beautiful. Exalting our warrior. Straightening that left leg, toppling forward, finding that triangle. Beautiful. Rising up, exalting our triangle here. And then making our way back to warrior two. We're going to cartwheel our arms, framing that front foot, pivoting the right. Left foot meets right, finding our plank or kneeling plank. And then rolling onto the left side this time, finding side plank, or we can lower that knee to support it, side plank. Really reaching our hips up to the sky. Beautiful, circling this right arm around, finding plank or kneeling plank, knowing that you can make your way into downward facing dog or child's pose, or we can make it through a flow, lowering halfway or all the way down to the mat. Upward facing dog or cobra. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Pedaling this out if you like. Beautiful. We're gonna bend our knees, looking forward at our hands, walking our feet to the top of the mat, finding that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And then as we exhale, hands down through heart center, lowering in our imaginary chair just for a breath. Really rooting into our right foot. We're gonna lift that left knee up off the mat towards our chest. And then reaching our left foot back, finding our warrior one. Again, settling in here, knowing that your legs don't have to be that far apart at all. Hips square to the front of the mat. Hands can be at heart center all the way up to the sky. Beautiful, letting our shoulders be heavy. We're gonna find our chest expansion. So we're gonna reach our arms behind us, squeezing our shoulder blades together, palms facing in like we're holding that beach ball. We can hold on to opposite elbows or forearms, or we can interlace our fingers, really squeezing our shoulder blades together as our arms lengthen, looking up towards the sky. And then as we exhale, we're gonna hinge forward to our humble warrior here. Trying to get our right knee towards our right armpit, but if that's not available, that's okay. Really strong in our legs here. Beautiful, we're gonna rise back up. Letting our hands go, finding warrior one. Bringing our hands to heart center, we're gonna pivot that left foot just gently, really rooting into our right leg. And we're gonna rise up so our left toes are just gentle on the mat here. And knowing that this is warrior three, so you can stay here. If you'd like to add on, we're gonna hinge forward, flexing those left toes towards our face, finding our warrior three. And then as we exhale, we're gonna rise back up, letting our toes just gently fall on the mat. And then hinging forward to our warrior three. Beautiful, one more time. Hinging forward here. And then rising all the way up to standing. Beautiful, letting that go with a breath. We're gonna inhale our arms up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. Exhaling our hands down through heart center as we lower our hips into our imaginary chair. Beautiful, really rooting through our left foot. This time we're gonna rise up, lifting that right knee towards our chest. And then reaching that right foot back on a 45-degree angle. Finding warrior one on this side. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Arms can be in whatever variation you would like. Beautiful, we're gonna find our chest expansion on this time. So reaching our arms behind our body for that beach ball, palms facing in, opposite forearms or elbows, or interlacing our fingers here. Really squeezing our shoulder blades together in whichever variation, heart shining forward. And if it's available, we're gonna hinge forward, finding that humble warrior. Left armpit towards our left knee. Beautiful, on our next breath, rising back up. Letting our hands go and bringing our hands to heart center. We're gonna straighten that left leg, letting our right toes just be heavy on the mat here, just gentle. Again, you can stay here. If you'd like to hinge forward, we're gonna hinge forward, Flexing those right toes towards our face, warrior three. Rising back up so our toes just gentle on the mat. Exhaling to our warrior three. Beautiful. One more time here. Hinging forward. Exhaling all the way up to our mountain pose. Again, finding a breath, inhaling up to the sky. Exhale, hinging at our hips, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, hanging out here for a breath. You can find a little bit of movement if that feels good. Really letting yourself be heavy here. And then as we exhale, we're gonna slowly roll up ragdoll, one vertebrae at a time. Letting our arms become heavy. Beautiful. Rolling our shoulders back and down when we reach there. Beautiful. And we're gonna find our supported hand to knee or supported big toe reach. Can't speak today. But we're gonna modify or find a different variation of it today. So we're gonna find mountain pose. I'm just gonna face you. We're gonna root into our left foot to start. We did this pose last week with the strap. So we're just gonna do that support or the variation at the beginning before we went with the strap. So we're gonna root with our left foot and we're gonna bring our right knee towards our chest here. We're gonna bring our right hand below our right knee. Left hand can go on our left hip if we like to start. And then if it's available, we're gonna open that right hip up to the right side. Left arm can extend. We can even look out over our left fingertips to test our balance if we like. Knowing if we fall, it's okay. Beautiful. Inhaling back to center, doing that switcheroo with our hands. So left hand underneath our right wrist, bringing that right knee towards the midline. You can extend your right arm out to the side. You can look out over to the right, whatever feels good. Beautiful. Closing that up and letting that go. We can shake that out. Beautiful. And finding that on the other side. So rooting into our right leg this time, left knee towards our chest, left hand underneath our left knee, right hand can start on our hip, opening up our hip to the left. Right arm can extend. We can look out over our right fingertips if that feels good. Beautiful. We're going to bring that left knee back to center, switcheroo with our hands, bringing that left knee across our body, left arm extending. And again, we can look out over our left fingertips if we like, or we can look straight ahead. Beautiful. Bringing our hands back to center and letting that go and shaking that out. Again, you can find a sip of water before we make our way down. We're going to start at the top of our mat in mountain pose. Maybe even rolling our shoulders back and down. We can close our eyes for a breath or two if that feels good. Really rooting into our strong mountain pose here. Maybe catching our breath. Once again, noticing what is arriving on our mats this evening. And what we can exhale and get rid of. If our eyes are closed, we're gonna bat them open slowly. We're gonna inhale our arms nice and slow all the way up to the sky. And as we exhale, really hinging at our hips, bending our knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. We're gonna exhale, fold, planting our hands, bringing ourselves down to our tabletop. And then lowering ourselves all the way down to our bellies. Beautiful. We're going to keep our hands in line with the base of our bra strap line here. Sorry, the wrist in line with the base of our bra strap. We're really going to root into the tops of our feet and our pubic bone here.
So we notice that when we root into the tops of our feet, or maybe even our knees lift off the mat, we're going to roll our shoulders back, squeezing our shoulder blades together, elbows close to the body here. We're going to inhale, rise up into a nice baby cobra, neck lifting last. And then exhale, lower. Beautiful, resetting that anchor if you need to. Squeezing our shoulder blades together here. We're going to inhale, rising up. Beautiful, exhale, lowering down. Beautiful, we're gonna let that go, pressing through our palms, making our way back into our child's pose. Arms can stay reaching forward or they can reach back by our heels. We wanna let go of our shoulders, whatever feels good here. Beautiful. We're gonna bring our hands by our knees. We're gonna rise up into kneeling and then make our way into our tabletop. Beautiful. We're gonna inhale our right arm open to the right. And then as we exhale, we're gonna thread it through between our left wrist and our left knee, really reaching long through those fingers until our shoulder and our right cheek falls to the mat. Left arm can reach forward, or we can reach it around towards our right hip in a half bind, whatever feels good for you. Holding this for a few breaths. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to bring our left hand by our face, pressing up into our tabletop. We're going to thread the needle on the other side. So we're going to exhale our left arm up to the sky. And then threading that left arm between our right wrist and our right knee, really reaching forward, letting that left ear drop to the mat. Again, right hand can reach forward. It can stay by our face, or it can go around our back in a half bind. Beautiful. We're going to bring that right hand by the face, pressing up into our tabletop. Maybe a few rounds of cat-cow feel good here. Maybe rocking our hips side to side. Really listening to your body and giving it what it needs in this moment. Beautiful. And then when your own time, we're going to make our way into seated, and we're going to find butterfly pose. So soles of the feet to touch, knees out to either sides of our body. Again, feet can be closer to our body or further away, whatever feels comfortable for you. Hands can be on our shins or around our ankles. Crown of the head really reaching high to the sky. Knowing that you can also place anything you need underneath your knees if that feels more comfortable. And then as we exhale, if it feels okay, we're going to hinge at our hips, rounding in, finding butterfly pose for a couple of breaths. And finding your breath once again. Noticing your inhalations and your exhalations. How do they feel now compared to the beginning of class? And maybe there's no difference, and that's okay. Just observing your breath. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to rise up out of that. We're going to close our knees up like a book. We're going to reach our legs out long here, fleshy bits away. Beautiful. We're going to bend our left leg, placing that left foot on the mat. We're going to bring our right hand toward or around our right shin, left arm reaching up, really reaching long for our fingertips and our spine. As we exhale, twisting open to the left. We can wrap that right arm around our left knee if that feels okay. And we can look over our left shoulder if that feels good. Beautiful. Holding for a few more breaths here. Beautiful. We're going to exhale ourselves back to center. Left leg extending. We can shake that out if we like. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So we're going to bend our right knee, placing our right foot on the mat. Beautiful. Left hand by our shin or around our knee, reaching our right arm to the sky, really reaching long. And then as we exhale, twisting open to the right, fingertips on the mat if that's available, hugging that right knee in with our left arm. Beautiful. We're going to exhale back to center. We're going to reach that left leg long. Again, we can shake that out. Beautiful. We're going to make our way to the middle of the mat. And we're going to lower ourselves gently all the way down to the mat, hugging one knee and then the other towards our chest. Beautiful. Again, you can find a little bit of movement here if that feels good. We're going to come back to center, letting our feet be heavy, and we're going to make those circles or draw those circles in the ceiling in one direction. And massaging at our sacrum and our low back here. And then changing the direction if that feels good for you. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to let our feet fall to the mat, to the edges of the mat. And we're going to windshield washer that out. Arms can be in cactus or T. And I want you to move really slow with your breath. And maybe it feels good to look the opposite direction as the way your knees fall. Rocking your neck from side to side in the opposite direction as your knees. And then when our knees fall to the right, we're going to hold them there for a breath or two. If it feels okay, we're going to look out to the left, or we can look straight ahead. Beautiful. We're going to inhale our legs back to center and let them fall to the left. Again, we can look straight ahead or out to the right. Beautiful. Inhaling our legs back to center. And we're going to find happy baby pose. So we're going to start by hugging our knees towards our chest. We can start with our hands on our shins. We can let our knees fall out to the side, really pulling our knees in towards our armpits and knowing we can stay here. If you'd like to add on a little bit, we're going to reach our arms on the inside of our legs, reach into the outside soles of our feet, lifting our heels up to the sky, really pressing our hands into heels, our hands into feet, feet into hands. Tailbone stays rooted on the mat here, really pulling our knees towards the ground. And again, you can find a little bit of movement if that feels okay. We can rock our baby side to side, whatever feels good for you. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to bend our knees, bringing our heels towards our bum, hugging our knees into our chest. One final time. And then as we exhale, releasing our legs to either corners of our mat, arms on either side of our body, finding whatever feels like final resting pose, Shavasana, to you. And taking a beautiful breath in, filling up all the spaces in your body. And exhaling it all out, letting it go. Feeling your body become heavy on the mat once again. Coming back to your breath, which is your anchor in life. Maybe noticing once again what parts of your body feel heavy on the ground beneath you. And where do you feel space? And maybe taking a deep breath into that space. And exhale, relaxing a little bit more. And just staying with your breath here for a few moments to relax, to restore, and to rejuvenate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Allowing me to hold this virtual space for you until it's time to bring you back. Maybe gently bringing yourself back with a breath. Knowing that you can stay here as long as you like, and you don't have to move until you're ready. And if you feel ready, you can start to wake yourself up by finding some gentle movements. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Perhaps noticing how good that feels. You can roll out your wrists and your ankles, expanding your movements if you feel ready. And then finding any other movement you need to bring yourself fully back. Maybe a really nice full body reach, stretch, knees to chest, a big hug, maybe even another happy baby. And in your next few breaths, I invite you to bend your knees, placing your feet on the mat, reaching your right or your left arm over your head and rolling over onto your right or your left side body, using your bicep as a pillow. And then pressing through your palm and making your way up into seated lotus pose, whatever that looks like for you. Beautiful. Taking one last breath together here. We're going to inhale our arms up to the sky, nice and slow. And then as we exhale, our hands down through heart center. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. It has been such an honor to guide you virtually through this winter. The love and the light in me truly sees and honors the love and the light in each of you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks everyone for the Wednesday class.
Thank you, Laura.
See you next week, guys.
See you.
Yep, for sure. Hopefully there's not another snowstorm.
Oh, cross our fingers, right?
I know. See ya.
Bye.
You got a kitty in the background.
I know. He's destroying my mat as we speak.
Okay. Bye, lady.
Bye.